On November 14, 2004, something happened in the Pacific Ocean, about 100 miles southwest of San Diego, California, that would become one of the most documented UFO encounters in modern history. The USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group was conducting routine training exercises when fighter pilots and radar operators witnessed something they couldn't explain. What makes this case different from countless other UFO reports is the evidence that backed it up. Multiple radar systems, infrared video footage, and testimonies from highly trained military personnel all documented the same impossible event. The waters off San Diego have been home to U.S. Navy operations for over a century. Naval Base San Diego was first established in 1922 as the U.S. destroyer base, and during World War II it became a massive repair and training facility. By the time of the Nimitz encounter in 2004, these waters had seen decades of naval training exercises, making them familiar territory for experienced pilots and radar operators who knew what belonged in the sky and what didn't. Commander David Fravor was no ordinary pilot. He was a graduate of the Top Gun Naval Flight Program and commander of the elite Black Aces Squadron, with more than 16 years of flying experience under his belt. On that November afternoon, he and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich were flying F/A-18F Super Hornets as part of a routine training mission. What happened next would challenge everything they thought they knew about aviation. For 2 weeks leading up to November 14, radar operators aboard the USS Princeton had been tracking something strange. Objects would appear suddenly at 80,000 feet, then drop toward the ocean at incredible speeds, stopping at around 20,000 feet and hovering. Then they would either disappear from radar completely or shoot straight back up to high altitude. The radar operators had never seen anything like it. When the Princeton contacted Fravor and Dietrich that day, asking what weapons they were carrying, the pilots replied they had dummy missiles that couldn't actually fire. "Well, we've got a real-world vector for you," came the response from the ship's radio operator. The pilots were directed to investigate an unknown contact about 60 miles away. By the time they reached the location, the object had already moved to their destination point. What Fravor and Dietrich saw when they arrived at the coordinates left them both amazed and confused. About 50 feet above the ocean surface, they spotted a white object roughly 40 feet long and shaped like a tic-tac candy. It had no visible wings, no exhaust, and no obvious way to stay in the air. Below it, the ocean was churning with white water, as if something large was moving just beneath the surface. Fravor decided to get a closer look. As he spiraled down toward the object, something incredible happened. The craft seemed to notice his approach and began to mirror his movements. When Fravor flew in a circular pattern, the object did the same. Then, as Fravor described it, the object suddenly accelerated beyond anything he had ever seen, crossed right in front of his aircraft and simply vanished. Dietrich, who watched the encounter from above, later described feeling terrified and vulnerable. "It was so unpredictable," she said. "High G maneuvers, rapid velocity, rapid acceleration. You're wondering, how can I possibly fight this?" The object moved in ways that seemed to ignore the basic laws of physics that govern normal aircraft. Within seconds of the object's disappearance, radar operators on the Princeton contacted the pilots again. They had picked up the same object at the pilot's original starting point, some 60 miles away. Whatever they had been chasing had somehow traveled that distance almost instantly. This wasn't just a visual sighting anymore. Multiple independent radar systems were tracking the same impossible movement. After Fravor and Dietrich returned to the Nimitz, 4 more Super Hornets took off to investigate the area. This second group of pilots carried something the first flight didn't have: forward-looking infrared sensors, or FLIR pods, that could record what they saw. One of these pilots managed to track down the object and capture it on infrared video. This footage would later become known as the FLIR-1 video, one of 3 Pentagon UFO videos that would eventually be released to the public. In the infrared footage you can hear one of the pilots saying, "There's a whole fleet of them, look on the SA." He was referring to the aircraft's synthetic aperture radar, which was detecting multiple objects beyond visual range. This suggested that whatever the pilots encountered wasn't alone. There were other similar objects maintaining distance from the fighter jets. Back on the Nimitz, the pilots faced an unexpected challenge: ridicule from their fellow crew members. Despite the radar evidence and multiple witness accounts, many sailors found the story hard to believe. Fravor and Dietrich were subjected to jokes and skepticism from people who hadn't seen what they had experienced. This reaction would highlight a major problem in military UFO reporting: the fear of not being taken seriously. According to some accounts, officials came aboard the Nimitz shortly after the incident and collected all the recordings and data related to the encounter. These materials disappeared into classified channels, and for years the incident remained largely unknown to the public. The pilots were debriefed, but as far as they knew, no official investigation took place. The story might have remained buried forever, if not for a secret Pentagon program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. This classified initiative, which ran from 2007 to 2012, was designed to investigate reports of unidentified aerial phenomena. The program was overseen by Luis Elizondo, a former intelligence officer who believed these sightings represented a potential national security concern. In December 2017, everything changed. The New York Times published a groundbreaking article revealing the existence of the Pentagon's UFO program. Along with the article came the first public release of 3 military videos showing encounters with unidentified objects. The Nimitz incident was one of them. Suddenly, Fravor and Dietrich found themselves at the center of a national conversation about UFOs. The Pentagon's official response was carefully worded. In 2020, they formally released the 3 videos, stating they wanted to clear up any misconceptions by the public on whether or not the footage that has been circulating was real. They confirmed the videos were authentic, but emphasized that, quote, the aerial phenomena observed in the videos remain characterized as, quote, unidentified. Not everyone accepted the extraterrestrial explanation for what the pilots saw. Skeptical investigators like Mick West analyzed the footage frame by frame, suggesting more mundane explanations. West argued that some of the apparent high-speed movement could be explained by parallax effects, where objects appeared to move faster when viewed from a moving platform. He suggested the tic-tac might have been a weather balloon or distant aircraft that only appeared extraordinary due to camera effects and pilot misperception. Other analysts pointed out that the military's reluctance to provide detailed explanations might not indicate a cover-up, but rather a desire to protect sensitive information about radar capabilities and aircraft systems. Military technology often involves classified details that can't be discussed publicly, even when trying to explain unusual sightings. In 2021, the Pentagon established a new office called the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, specifically to investigate UFO reports. The head of this office, Sean Kirkpatrick, testified to Congress that they were reviewing over 650 UFO incidents reported by military personnel. However, he emphasized that only a very small percentage displayed truly anomalous characteristics that couldn't be easily explained. Interestingly, in recent congressional hearings, Pentagon officials claimed to have solved some of the famous UFO videos, including the GOFAST footage. Using careful analysis and trigonometry, they determined that the object wasn't actually moving at high speed close to the water, but was likely a slow-moving object at high altitude. This kind of detailed analysis shows how complex it can be to interpret these recordings accurately. For Fravor and Dietrich, the public attention brought both validation and unwanted fame. Dietrich, who had remained silent for years, finally came forward in 2021 during a 60 Minutes interview. She said her motivation was to help remove the stigma around military personnel reporting strange sightings. "I hope I'm not the UFO tic-tac person for the rest of my life," Fravor commented, showing how the encounter had affected his career and reputation. The Nimitz case sparked significant changes in how the military handles UFO reports. The Navy developed new guidelines encouraging pilots to report unusual sightings without fear of ridicule or career damage. Officials recognize that whether these objects represent foreign technology, natural phenomena, or something else entirely, they pose potential safety and security concerns that need to be taken seriously. Since the Nimitz incident became public, additional UFO videos have been released by the Pentagon. In 2023, officials showed Congress footage captured by MQ-9 drones in the Middle East, demonstrating both explainable and unexplainable encounters. Some videos showed objects that appeared mysterious at first, but were later identified as aircraft or sensor artifacts. Others remained genuinely puzzling. More recent footage has emerged from other military encounters. In 2019, the USS Omaha recorded what appeared to be a spherical object flying over the ocean before disappearing into the water. Other ships reported multiple objects emerging from the ocean in formation. While the Pentagon has not confirmed all these additional incidents, they continue to investigate reports from credible military sources. The Nimitz encounter represents a turning point in how seriously the government and military take UFO reports. Whether the objects represent advanced foreign technology, unknown natural phenomena, or something beyond our current understanding, the incident forced important conversations about transparency, national security, and scientific investigation. What makes the Nimitz case compelling isn't just the video footage, but the combination of multiple types of evidence: radar tracking from different ships, visual observations by experienced pilots, infrared recordings, and consistent testimony from multiple witnesses. Even skeptics acknowledge that something unusual happened that day, even if they disagree about what it was. The analysis of this footage continues today. Scientists, military officials, and independent researchers examine every frame, looking for clues about what the pilots encountered. Advanced computer analysis, enhanced imaging techniques, and comparison with known aircraft behavior all contribute to the ongoing investigation. The Pentagon has stated that while they investigate every report seriously, they haven't found evidence of extraterrestrial origin for any of the UFO encounters they've studied. Most incidents have conventional explanations involving weather phenomena, aircraft, or equipment malfunctions. But a small percentage, including elements of the Nimitz case, remain unexplained despite thorough analysis. What happened in the Pacific Ocean on November 14, 2004, changed how we think about unidentified aerial phenomena. It showed that credible witnesses, multiple forms of evidence, and official documentation could bring UFO reports out of the realm of tabloid speculation and into serious scientific and military investigation. The Nimitz encounter reminds us that there are still mysteries in our skies, and that the search for answers requires careful analysis, open minds, and rigorous scientific investigation. Whether the truth involves advanced technology from foreign nations, unknown natural phenomena, or something else entirely, the incident proved that some questions are worth taking seriously, no matter how extraordinary they might seem. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.